It is the tale of which most other novels take its formula from. A hero's journey.
It's just Homer and Shakespeare at a dinner party hanging out, really.
My dream blunt rotation.
And you're gonna saddle up to the table and be like, ever heard of Percy Jackson?
Darlings, welcome back to another episode of Pause, the podcast where two gals who love film are trying to yap their way into becoming indie darlings. I am Danny.
And I am Kara.
I don't know why I got a flash and you looked like Dakota Johnson.
It's because I got my French trim.
I think it's the bangs. My therapist told me that I looked like Chili from TLC.
Wait, that's a compliment.
That was the biggest compliment I think I've ever received in my entire life.
I trust her already.
I know. A gorgeous, warm, kind Black woman.
I was gonna ask because
of course.
Tailor-made. You know, you have to seek out what will work best for you.
Bespoke. Listen, I trust white women selectively. You know what I mean?
Degree. They disappoint us. They disappoint me, and I'm one of them.
So, I don't know if I could trust one with my deepest, darkest secrets.
White women, that's me. Cut to me. I'm Matt Damon being tied to the staff while the siren songs are singing, and I have to reckon with my own sins. That's me in a group of white women.
That's funny.
Thank you.
Funny.
I want to keep all this in. I'll find a way. Okay.
I think as the audience, this is already going to be a long episode because we are experiencing an epic tale of epic proportions. You know what I mean?
There's a reason why the Odyssey is synonymous with a long journey. Okay?
Exactly. And so
she's that girl.
Right. And so allow this episode to also be a long journey come on with us. Two girls, one brain aneurysm.
And that's what they call entertainment.
Absolute cinema.
Hey, can I? No, because he is a diva. He is an icon. And I really want to recreate the Marty Absolute Cinema. We need to recreate that, please. Both each of us needs to have a photo, and it's just a carousel of us doing that.
And it's like every time we really love a film and we put it on the review, Absolute Cinema. Then, Darling approved. Guys, we come up with genius. We come to this place to feel, to cry,
for magic.
For magic.
Not to do business in front of the kids, where that's sometimes where the best ideas come from.
Sometimes it's where the best ideas come from. Oh my God. This has been one of my favorite intros that we've done thus far. I have to admit. But if you could not tell, which at this point, use your brains and your noggins. Sorry.
Use our brains. I beg.
Because we are going to be discussing a film that was taken from, dare I say, objectively one of the greatest pieces of literature ever written. It is the tale of which most other novels take its formula from. A hero's journey.
It's just Homer and Shakespeare at a dinner party hanging out, really.
My dream blunt rotation.
And you're gonna saddle up to the table and be like, ever heard of Percy Jackson? Ever heard of it?
Ever heard of that masterpiece? Oh my gosh. No, as we were saying, in this tale, in this episode, we will be talking about Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey.
The Odyssey. And then we're going to rewind to the year 2000 with Memento, which rewatching Memento and then watching The Odyssey, I couldn't help but parallel. This dude loves structure and he loves to manipulate structure. And I feel like you could see so much of Memento in The Odyssey. She walked so that Peppa could run, honestly. But yes, this is another edition in our Film Bros series. We brought you Marty, we brought you Steven, and now we're bringing you Christopher. I don't know if I can call him Chris. He never goes by Chris, does he?
he's our close and personal friend, you know?
Yeah.
Like, no, guys, that's my friend.
Shall we get into it? Shall we press play?
Yes, please. It's what the people want.
So, The Odyssey, a tale redone, rewritten over centuries. Danny, as our resident Greek mythology girl, do you just want to set the scene?
Yes, I do.
For those that don't know.
Imagine. We have finished the Trojan War. The horse has slayed. And it's time for our war heroes to venture home. And our war hero and king, Odysseus of Ithaca, is trying to get home to his lovely wife, Penelope, and his darling son, Telemachus. But along the way, he has angered the gods, and they are doing everything in their power to stop Odysseus from making it home. Which leads us on this 20-year-long journey back to the shores of Ithaca. Dun, dun, dun.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. But also it's wild that 10 of those years were literally on the beach outside of Troy.
10 years just soaking up a tan.
Although that does lead to one of the best lines in the film, which is 10 years of rage pouring into the city of Troy. And we'll get into it. I wanted to start by just your initial reactions. I think that for a director as legendary as Christopher Nolan, known for these huge films, known for basically the hero's journey, a man's journey. That's all he writes about, is men going on journeys. This seems like the pinnacle of all of his skills and all of his career coming together. So high expectations, but I have to say he exceeded them, in my opinion.
Exceeded every single expectation that I had. I was coming into this a little bit cautious. I'm never a Nolan hater. I don't think that's the word. Like, I've never been led to a point to believe that he wouldn't have been able to do this film and do it justice. That wasn't it. I think it was more that this entire epic felt almost impossible to make. And that was where my hesitation came from. But he far exceeded every single expectation that I had. It was a masterpiece. Genuinely. It was almost 3 hours. I don't think I've been as locked into a film in a really long time. My disbelief was suspended.
No, truly. And I think, I mean, you're right to point out that it is epic. It lives up to the name of an epic tale. And we will get into all of the technical elements and why all of those were incredible. But what I was taken aback by and why I think the film worked for me as a whole, which is it was anchored in such a beautiful and simple theme. As you said, the Odyssey is a really intimidating and overwhelming story to tackle because it is so long. There's so many different parts of it. And I think he really focused in and said, this is a story about a man reckoning with his sins. And he really, Odysseus felt like a real character to me. He didn't feel like a myth. And anchoring this whole film around Zeus's law and looking at the Trojan War and one of the most celebrated strategic tactics of the Trojan horse, and likening that to the fall of humanity and the poisoning of respect for other people, because that trick negates Zeus's law, which, if those that know, the film is centered around this law, which is if a stranger comes into your home, you have to treat them with respect because they might be a god in disguise. So it's basically treat others the way you want to be treated. And Odysseus abused that in the Trojan War.
Mm.
And this whole film is him reckoning with that guilt. And that contributes to, the gods trying to get him to this point to think about that. And why doesn't he want to go home? It's because he doesn't want to face this. That to me was interesting. I was like, okay, this makes this whole thing make sense. And this takes this from a really epic movie that I was excited to see because I knew it was going to be action packed to an actual like character piece that I'm interested in diving into,
He really focused on the hero's journey part of the hero's journey, because it could have just been an epic or a tale of like coming home and like, but his choices to focus that on Odysseus's internal journey and his internal character development was such a correct choice. It was such, like, as you were saying, like, that is what glued the film together, and you saw it in the way that Nolan structured the entire film, and that's what made the film for me as well.
Yeah, because then it takes it from, it's not just men with swords, honey, okay?
Exactly. It's not just men with swords.
It's not just men with swords. And I don't know about you, but speaking about Odysseus's journey and that internal shift in him, to me, the turning point of the film was the siren song. Do you agree?
I'd like to hear more of why you think so.
Ooh, okay. So to set the scene, there's a part in Odysseus' journey home where he has just gone to hell. Just a quick pit stop. He gets this prophecy from the seer. And along the way, he sees a lot of the men who have died, a lot of them at his hand, you could say, because he's leading them. And he homesed. And they're like, when you get to this part of the ocean, there's going to be sirens, and you need to put wax in your men's ears, but you cannot put it in your own. You have to face it. And in this scene, he's tied to the mast of this ship, and he's like suffering, and there's a voiceover describing what is the siren song, and he's saying it's all the promises that I've broken, it's everything that I wanted but I can never have, and he's cowering in pain. And then he comes out of it, and he has such clarity, in my opinion. At least that's how I saw Matt Damon's performance. And for me, then on is when he realizes he has this preoccupation with honor and honoring his men and fighting for the Greek army, and all of his strategy and smart, every part of him is in service to this thing, right? And even when the oracle's talking to him about, like, some of your men are going to die at this point, but if you don't do this, then more of them will die, so you have to sacrifice them. And he's like, no, I'll find a way to save them all. And after the siren song, he does what the oracle says, and he doesn't necessarily think of himself as this all-powerful protector of his men. And to me, it was him surrendering into like more of what the gods were trying to teach him, and talking about the flaws of humanity and all of the hubris that led to this point. And walk with me here, because I don't know if this makes sense, but in my mind,
I'm walking.
in my mind, part of this equation is Agamemnon's helmet. Now, carry the one.
His cunty helmet? Yeah, his absolutely. Cunty helmet.
Carry the one, minus the two. So, as you guys can probably tell, Danny knows way more about Greek mythology than I do. And so when I first saw the poster for the film, I didn't know it was Agamemnon's helmet. Sorry, didn't. I was like, that's chic, excited to see the film. And
okay. Okay, cunty helmet.
Okay, yeah, cunty helmet. I love the braid. And so, but then obviously throughout the film, his helmet becomes a symbol. He's almost exclusively shot from behind with this helmet. And Agamemnon is then revealed as this coward, right? Like, he comes home in hubris, and then his wife kills him, which, by the way, I would have handed Clytemnestra that knife, because you're telling me you sacrificed your own daughter for some good weather? Sir, you deserve to die. Anyway, so
pre-K pause on that as we're talking about this.
Yeah.
I think that it is, unless I forgot something, that it was so good that we did not see his entire face until the moment he got killed.
You're correct.
I loved that.
And I loved that too.
I loved that. And that is so reminiscent of him as a character in this tale, is that he hid behind his army for all of this. Like, he hid behind these people who he's forcing to fight for him. And when you take all of it off, he is just a man. He is just a man. That led to all of this.
Exactly. So keep that in mind. Run with me. The symbolism of the armor. What does the armor represent? Towards the beginning of this journey, when they go to the Cyclops' cave. Sorry, I'm really... It will all make sense. Walk with me.
If you break the string over here...
Guys, I'm literally at my murder board. This is my red string. Keep in mind men, how men are motivated men. Keep in mind men. They go into the Cyclops' cave, and then when they finally escape, and like there's no need for them to antagonize the Cyclops anymore because they're down the hill. They're kicking it back to the boat. Okay? The Cyclops spits out a helmet of one of the men that he has eaten. And Odysseus is pissed. And then he takes his little arrow and he shoots that bitch. And everybody, like his fellow soldiers, like, why'd you have to do that? Now that Cyclops is going to chase us all the way down this hill to our boat. All he did was spit out a helmet. But it's what the helmet represents. And it's that Agamemnon presence. Like, how do you motivate men to rape and pillage and kill? You tell them that they're doing it for honor. Now, Siren Song. Up until that point.
Hold on, wait.
Yeah. And pause. And
to add on what happens in things that they left out in that tale, in the book.
text.
In the text. Let's go back to the text. Let's go back to the text. In the Cyclops scenes, there's more Cyclopses further into the cave. There's more Cyclopses. Okay? And so what they hear what's going on. They hear Homeboy in pain because he can't see. And the Cyclops is like, what's going on? What's wrong with you? They're not coming up to see. And Odysseus tells the Cyclops, my name is Nobody. So he tells the other Cyclopses, nobody hurt me. So now they're escaping, right? They've escaped. He's antagonized the Cyclops, right? You're talking about the antagonization, right? He's on the boat. He's sailing away. And he tells the Cyclops, I am the infamous Odysseus. So he tells the Cyclops his name. And then that's why in the boat, they're like, oh, that's Poseidon's child that you just messed up. And then Homeboy Cyclops tells his daddy who did this to him. Yeah.
Odysseus.
And
then their ship is in storms constantly.
Peril.
Because they've angered the seas. Anyway, okay, that's great.
So we get back to the sirens.
So up until that point, Odysseus is like riding the wave of like, my strategy won the Trojan War, my men, my honor, I'm not shit. He gets on the siren song and he's like, oh my God, I murdered so many people. I've broken Zeus's law. Maybe he hasn't fully learned the lesson yet, because we'll see that when he tells the anecdote to Penelope at the very end. And we have our lovely Athena moment. But I truly think after that siren song is what he was forced to look at. Take the helmet off. This is not honor. Does that all make sense? Look at the board. I'm
looking at the board and I follow. And the siren song, I think, is one of the most famous parts of the actual text. And a lot of people were complaining about how they don't think that the sirens were utilized more in the tale.
Yeah.
Because there is more stuff that we learned more about what the sirens told him in the text. But I agree with you. And I think that scene was shot so beautifully in that we, as the audience, were his shipmates, where we only saw him suffering and it was muffled. And the only information that we got was from Odysseus, and he is famously an unreliable narrator. Like, he is infamously an unreliable narrator. And I do agree with you in the sense that in this moment, like, he is confronted with the weight of his sins, but even still, he has an undercurrent of, I don't want to say hubris, but I will for the sake of this, in that he does still believe that he can save his men. Like,
Yeah.
and you see it in the actions that he takes, but he does still believe that he can save what is left of his men. And so
Mm-hmm.
it is kind of double edged, because I do think that he kind of accepts what he's done, but I don't think that that translates yet into him fully trusting the gods, because he does not fully trust the gods until he's getting off of Calypso's island. I think that this was just him being confronted with the why he didn't want to go home, because that is a question that was asked to him multiple times.
And that's why I think it's like the turning point, because it's the first time that he's ever given this information. Could we dovetail into Cersei maybe, because we're talking about men? She is a woman, but I mean men TM.
At Mentiam,
Because let me just say, it was like the best line of the film to me. That's high praise, because there was some bangers in this film. When she's turning them back into men from pigs, and she goes, "Go back into your disguise. Go back into girl." Because men are pigs. Men
she's
are
literally
pigs.
like, men are pigs, and them being in their human flesh is just a
Mm-hmm.
disguise. And I think that goes back into what you were saying earlier, going back to
Mm.
red string.
Red string.
Red string. When you were saying, like, you can convince men to rape and pillage if it's in the name of honor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly like what Cersei was saying to Odysseus, is that they didn't need to be convinced to do those things, because that is who they are. That is their innate nature, and that is their intrinsic desires. Like, you did not have to convince them to do all of that. They did that of their own choice. They did that of their own fruition. And it's just like so like gut wrenching to watch, like, because Odysseus is like, did they do something to you? Like, did my men touch you? And she's like, they would have.
They will.
Like, just like an absolute, like, they would have. Like,
Certainty.
you know,
Yeah.
a certainty. And I'm just like, wow, wow, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so true. Like, it's so true.
And that's what I really appreciated about, like, if any of the film girlies were nervous about Christopher Nolan, the film bro of film bro directors, taking on this story, like, I personally don't think he glorified any of the violence. In fact, I
Mm-mm.
feel like he was reckoning with it, just like Odysseus was.
Odysseus, right?
And I think this connects, like Cersei's words connect to a later scene with Athena after his men eat the cows, which the seer prophesies if they ate the cows, they would die. And so Odysseus says, don't do it. And they do it anyway. And he feels this responsibilities for their imminent deaths. And Athena is like, why are you seeing their deaths as your failure? Like, she's basically saying it's not
Mm.
about you. The gods are trying to tell you that you can only take responsibility for what you do. And that is a
You've
big part of
done.
the film, is him taking responsibility for the horse was him. Baby, that was you. The horse was you. So you have to live with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, she was basically telling him they were going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
Like, they, like, that is who they are. They have to take accountability for their own actions. You are not responsible for the actions of other men.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that also, like, as we were saying, like, that goes back to Cersei as well. She was like, that is who they are. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
only turn them into what they are on the inside, like what their character is.
I need to read Cersei by Madeline Miller so bad.
You
Have
know,
you read
Jade
it?
read it, and I did read it. Jade just read it and she loved it. I also loved it.
Shall we? We've been referencing Athena a lot. Shall we talk about Athena?
Let's talk about our girl.
Let's talk about our girl.
Girl.
Do you want to go first?
There's a lot of debate in the air. There's a lot of debate in the air right now
Mm-hmm.
on whether Athena was real or not in
I was
this
gonna ask you. I
in
was gonna
this
ask.
iteration. I know.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been racking my head around it, really, because I keep going back to the lore, like to the actual lore. And Athena does appear to Odysseus in the actual text. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, I do think that he is seeing actual Athena. However, the person, like the visual image that he is seeing of her, is representative of his guilt.
And I think Athena did that on purpose because
And
she
she
is
did it
the
on
goddess of
purpose.
wisdom. She is
Wisdom.
the
She knew that this is the visual, the personification that Odysseus needed to see in order to get him to where she needed him
I fully believe that our goddess of wisdom and strategy knew that. But I think it's great
to.
that it does work both ways. So for those that haven't seen the film yet, God bless, because we're talking through it all. So basically, Zendaya plays Athena. And throughout Odysseus's journey, Athena comes to him and guides him throughout his journey. Nobody else can see her. She comes to him throughout this journey. And we just think Zendaya, gorgeous woman, is playing Athena. That makes sense. Love it. And then towards the very end, when Odysseus, disguised as a beggar, is talking to Penelope about the Battle of Troy. And there is a moment where Odysseus witnesses his men decapitating a woman in Troy, and that woman is played by Zendaya.
Not only do they decapitate her, she's a priestess of Athena, and they decapitate her in Athena's temple.
Yes, and as she, the human priestess woman, is being decapitated, a statue of Athena is also being decapitated. So one could infer that, oh, is he just, having visions of this woman because she represents what he has broken? Or, which I agree with Danny, is Athena specifically choosing to appear to him as this woman because that is what's going to hammer it home? And I think so. But it raises this interesting question, which I then started to think of the film thematically in this way, of if we argue that it wasn't Athena, then Nolan is telling us there weren't any gods in this story. And this is about man. This is about a man's journey, the hubris of man, the reckoning of man. So it's interesting that you could view the film in those two different ways. But I think a part of Odysseus's journey is also reckoning with fate and things out of his control, which I think the gods represent as well.
I agree. And again, like going back to lore, Odysseus and Athena do have a very personal relationship, and that is also a huge part of Odysseus's character and how he even A, got himself into the situation, and B, came up with the idea of the Trojan horse. Like through, I'm not saying that Athena gave him that vision, but through his training and his relationship with Athena, all of these other chips fell into place and led to this very moment. And so Athena is a huge part of Odysseus's character and his journey. And so I do think that she, as someone who knew him personally, also knew what it would take for him to come to the point of seeing what he did and reckoning with that and how to move forward from there.
Yeah, I think also in just not only their personal relationship, but what she represents as this god of wisdom and strategy. That's all Odysseus has. Like, he is known as the smartest warrior, the strategist that's going to, like, his men follow him because they think that he is the smartest. He's not the strongest. That's the projection that Agamemnon and Ajax and Achilles are putting out there. That's not Odysseus. He's the smart one. And for him to reckon with the fact that he still did damage. It doesn't matter if you didn't spill that blood. Like, you set that in motion through your smarts, through your strategy. That's also a big part of the lesson I think she's trying to teach him. It's just because you have it doesn't mean you should use it.
And especially because he is widely known. Like, that is the first thing that everyone that Telemachus meets on his journey tells him about his father. Like, he was the smartest, he was our strategist, he had wisdom, and it's also something I think is so interesting about Telemachus's character as well, because it's not shown in the movie as well, and I think it's very purposeful and also for good reason. But Telemachus and Athena also have a personal relationship in lore. Telemachus so often says, "Oh, I trust you because you have wise eyes." or like, I believe
He
you because
says
you
that
have
to
wise
literally everyone.
eyes. Yeah, like, I'm sorry, babe. Everybody got wise eyes? Everybody got wise eyes?
It's because he's looking for his dad.
He's looking for his dad in those wise eyes, bitch. He's looking for his daddy in his wise eyes.
I think it's also because, like, just on a surface level, he doesn't remember what his dad looks like because his dad left 20 years ago and he was a bebe. So any, like, Zeus's law, anybody that he meets could be his dad. Like, it's not just like anybody that you meet could be a god. To Telemachus, anybody who walks through those doors of this palace could be my father. So he's always uploading Zeus's law. He's always trying to look for wisdom in other people because he's trying to look for his daddy.
His dad.
I mean, which brings us to me, the most gut-wrenching shot in modern cinema, that damn dog's tail.
Let me tell you something. That was
diabolical. That was a knife in my gut, Nolan.
Let me tell you something. And for that to be the reason and the moment that Telemachus realizes that that is his father is pure genius and emotional manipulation in a way that only a mastermind could accomplish.
Right. To set the scene, if you're like, what dog?
What damn dog?
And this goes back to why the structure of this film is so important, and I do think we'll get into this when we do our rewind into Memento, is this film is told non-linearly because it's told by Odysseus to Calypso, and we're seeing things and we're seeing him tell things, and it's like jumping around in time. And in the stories that people tell Telemachus of his father, they always talk about his dog, his hunting dog, and how they had this bond. And when Odysseus leaves, it's said that the dog will not die until he comes back. And this doggy held on by a thread. This dog said, I will not die until my papa comes home. And when Odysseus appears as the beggar and he hasn't revealed himself yet, the dog recognizes him. And this dog, who was literally death's door in the dirt mud, sees Odysseus and his little tail begins to wag. Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
He lays one singular hand on this pupperoonie. You see the tail wag and then it just goes still.
It dies immediately.
It dies immediately because he was just holding on. Just hold on, I'm coming home. Coming home. That's the dog. And you, first of all, Timothy Holland? Tom Holland? I need a full name for you. Timothy Holland? The acting that you have portrayed in this film, dare I say, your best work. Dare I say your best work. It's
that scene
all
alone,
eyes,
his
bro.
eyes
told 20 different stories, 20 different tales, because it was heartbreak over the dog dying, but then you saw the slow realization of who this man is. Shock, and then, oh my God, my father, and then, oh my God, my father. Joy, like every single human emotion possible was portrayed. Not a damn word was said. It was the eyes. It was the eyes. And in that moment, he himself had wise eyes because, raps. It was raps. I can't.
And that's what I do think that I really applaud Nolan for finding those very specific character moments in this epic tale, and that's what I think sets this film apart for me. Now, I have been holding back a question that I want to ask you because I've been contemplating this. You're not scared. Don't be scared. You'll be equipped.
I'm scared.
But and I have my own opinion on this, and it was an opinion that surprised even me. But per usual, when lovely Christopher releases a film, the girlies always criticize his portrayal, or shall we say lack thereof, women. And it is known in his catalog of work, he's never had a female lead, and often, with the exception, I would say, of Interstellar, he often does not explore the emotional interiority of his female characters in a lot of his films. They're just like a missing piece within the genius. And I wanted to ask you how you felt he handled the female characters in this film.
at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
let me preface with, at the end of the day, this is Odysseus's tale, and the
Right.
women are merely side characters
In this story specifically,
in
yes.
this story specifically. And so I do think that he did a good job of giving all of his side characters. I'm not
I
going
agree. I agree.
to just talk about the women. I think that he gave all of his side characters moments in which they shined, and they he gave them each a very individual character arc that felt complete for them. And that is true of, in my opinion, of all these side characters. And I do think that he made Penelope a bit more headstrong in this than she was in the lore.
Yeah, she said this throne has not been empty for 20 years. I've been sitting on it.
Right. And not to say that Penelope isn't headstrong in the lore, because she is very much is. She's
Mm-hmm.
very intelligent. She's a Spartan, like that girl knows war. That girl knows battle. That girl
She
knows
is a
you,
Spartan. I forget that.
she is in fact a Spartan. That's
Mm-hmm.
that girl. You know what I mean? She's not new to this, she's true to this, okay? And Telemachus and her's relationship is so much different in the book than it is in the movie. And I think that it was really well done. I think that I think Nolan allows Penelope to be her own character and to have wants, to have desires, to showcase that pain. It's especially shown when in that moment where she almost believes, I can never pronounce his name ever, but the man that Robert Pattinson plays. But when
Oh
she
yeah, and unimportant
almost,
because he's evil. So moving on.
he's actually very important.
He's very important plot wise, but he's mean. So
He is. And he does it so well. Anyways, Rob, you also acted your ass off. And
yeah,
again, that's also what I'm talking about, because the way that Nolan portrayed developed that character as well. You saw a character arc, and you saw his motivations, and it was you really got to see every character's motivations in this film and why they acted the way that they acted. And I don't think that that's the case in a lot of films. And I think that's just a showcase of a really brilliant director, when you don't let your side characters go to the wayside. Like, he took the time to really develop each character, no matter how much screen time they got.
I would agree. And I really like had to sit with myself with this because I was in the same boat of like I was not taken out of this story by the lack of the female characters. There have been other Nolan films where I'm like, why has he done that with her? I'm looking at you, Oppenheimer. But in this one, but in this one, I wasn't. I was totally in it, and I think it is because, as you've said as well, every female character did something that moved the plot forward. They were integral to
Mm-hmm.
this story. Even ones that we only saw small bits of, like Clytemnestra or Helen or Calypso, like all of them did something or said something that moved the plot forward, and they presented as complete people and beings. And that's partly down to the amazing actresses that were in this film, but also
Mm-hmm.
how Nolan engineered this story, as you said. And I was also really pleasantly surprised with Penelope. I think that Anne Hathaway did an incredible job. And I was like, that's our girl from Interstellar. She has come back out. She has risen. She has awoken. Because that character, I would imagine, is very hard
Mm.
to play because you have to have a reserved strength, because she's plotting, she's scheming, but she
Plot
cannot
and
let these
scheming.
hundreds of men that are in her home that could turn on her in a second. She has to keep the status quo. And she has to almost play this part that might be a more stereotype female part that she's playing for these men so that she can hold it down like for 20 years and keep like this tinderbox of politics and Ithaca under control. And I do think that it was done very, very well. And also, as you're talking about with Athena, you don't have to have that much screen time to make an incredible impact on the film. So, yeah, I think for this film specifically, I did not have an issue with it at all. And I felt that all of them were well written. And I think we can't let the legacy of other films like necessarily impact this one, or whether we have opinions on how women were portrayed in other films. Like,
Yeah.
growth is growth, maybe we say. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's like we can have issues with his previous catalog without it impacting how we objectively view. And I think, and here's the thing.
Say it.
Can we rewind a little bit back to our previous episode? We were talking about Christopher Nolan, and we were talking about like film critics versus film influencers, and how we need that, why film critics are esteemed in the way that they are and why they do the job that they do is because they have a capability of reviewing a film objectively. And part of that is viewing the film solo and separate from the director's other pieces of their catalog, i.e., not bringing the sins of his past into how he may have portrayed characters in this film.
Word. Anyway, I think like the girlies are going to be talking about it, so it behooves us to address that. And I was like, I don't want to say I was like pleasantly surprised, because obviously he is a genius. Like, he is technically an incredible filmmaker. But yeah, all of these things come together, and I wasn't disappointed in any aspect of this film, and that includes the female portrayals.
Hopefully we won't get canceled for that take.
I don't think we will, because again, the Pospod girls are bringing nuance back to the internet, and I said it here first.
Bring nuance back to conversation.
Anyway, I did want to take a moment to talk about the technical aspects of this film, because a lot of them are unprecedented, and I think that a lot of them were used in the marketing campaign of this film, of like how special this film is on a technological level. I'm sure anyone who watches the film will know that it was filmed entirely on IMAX cameras. It is the first commercial feature to be entirely filmed on IMAX cameras. And when I first heard that, I don't think I fully understood just how hard that is. And in researching and learning more about their process, these cameras were like 400 pounds. These cameras were heavy, partly because they had to build casings to dampen the sound of the camera so they could film the quiet dialogue scenes. To the point where when the cinematographer was talking about how he relied so much on his first AC and his dolly grip just to counterweight the camera, because he said if I dipped it down, it would throw me over the rig because it was so heavy. And you imagine like they're on this boat, they're filming these like stormy seas. That boat is a rockin', and that is a real boat. And so he described his camera team as ballerinas, like these strong, lean men, but who were quick and nimble and had to literally counterweight and calculate all the movements together as a team. Just that alone, I'd be like, gosh, I can't do that. Like, that sounds hard.
Wrap it up. And it's so funny because Tom Holland in an interview was talking about how he thought he was doing a bad job because Nolan kept having to cut more often than Tom is used to. And it's because the cameras can only store so much footage at a time. Like, they had to continuously
3 minutes.
They literally had to keep, stopping, and like until he realized like that's why. He was like, I thought I was just doing a really bad job.
Thought I was doing a bad job. Yeah. And then something that I didn't know going away from the IMAX cameras is, I think you'd agree, some of the most gripping and touching scenes, which you talked about, is the Battle of Troy. And that battle seems almost entirely lit by firelight. And I was wondering how they did this, because I was like, that seems like a health and safety issue. Like, how are you going to light this entire battle? By firelight, they manufactured their own bespoke lights. They invented their own lights that would mimic firelight. And they called them, wait, what did they call them? They called them pyrohedrons. And there are these special lights that they could literally hide in the set, but were bright enough to emit enough light and have it mimic firelight. And just these are the things where you're like, these things have to be figured out like 1 to 3 years in advance, like, of this film. It's just absolutely incredible for them to have to do so much practically and to just get it done. Like, just do it. I don't know.
It's crazy that they had those engineers or people in the lab cooking up new lighting just for this film. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah. And then just to wrap up our nerdy technical talk, but I think I was asking myself, like, why? Like, again, this is incredible and amazing, but why? And the reason why so much of it had to be practical, real boats, lights that mimicked fire and couldn't be added in post, is because they were working with that specific IMAX film. And due to like the processes of, you know, editing the film and just the actual chemical processes of film, there's just more room for error in post. They're like, we want to do as much as we can, like tangibly, practically on set. So it just shows an incredible commitment to filmmaking and ingenuity. And yeah, just it's epic, just like the film is epic.
Yeah, like they made the Cyclops was like a 60-foot puppet that they
incredible
like, developed. Genuinely, what the fuck? Like, it is just a showcase, as you said, of ingenuity and a dedication to the craft and to the art. Like, this is art. What they did here was the creation of art.
And it reminds me of this conversation we had with Project Hail Mary. So much of that film was practical. Rocky was practical. These are artists coming together to create something. And you can tell, like, as a viewer, you feel it differently. You can tell. And it's no wonder these are 2 of our favorite films of the year. Take notes.
Take notes.
It reminds me of the Harry. When I was walking out of the theater, I was reminded of the Harry Styles quote where he's like, "It's just like a real movie."
Harry, you tickled me.
And you're not wrong. No, you're not.
You're not wrong. It's absolute
cinema.
Absolute cinema.
And then I don't know about you, but I kind of wanted to talk about Emily Wilson, the translator, who Nolan didn't use her translation exclusively, but in a lot of press, he's been quoting her translation. And I wanted to touch on it a little bit because I think ever since the trailer dropped for this film, the bros have been angry. Ooh, you're so angry. The bros have been angry. You're so angry.
And let's pause. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, this is a tale. This is a story. Nothing, mind you,
exactly.
we're arguing about the skin color of gods that y'all say aren't even real. What are we doing? Dead ass.
Exactly.
Why are y'all so angry?
Why are you so angry?
Take a Xanny. Do you need a Xanax? I have somebody. Like, it's actually insanity to me because it's like, this is all play pretend. This is all play pretend.
Nolan tells us that because of the way he starts the film. He starts the film with the Bard's song, somebody telling a tale. He doesn't start it with the Battle of Troy, which would be an amazing first set piece for the film. He literally says, "This is not real. This is a story. This is a story." And at the end, Odysseus talks about the importance of stories and how he wants the songs to continue so people don't forget his mistakes. So you are literally arguing over a poem. This is not a piece of historical record.
We really arguing over a poem. Some poetry.
But there's an incredible interview with Emily Wilson in that she talks about the art of translation and, you know, people being up in arms about Nolan's script using the word mom and dad and all of these things. And her translation was criticized by the literature bros, or just bros in general, because she uses a lot of I don't want to say simple language, because she's, you know, she still has incredible prose, but it's modern language, it's straightforward. And she talks a lot about like the most exciting thing about the Odyssey is not you trying to find where the adverb is in the sentence. It's you taking in the lyricism of the tale and the themes and the emotion and the lessons that is trying to tell you. And I didn't have any problem with them saying mom and dad. I didn't have any problem with them all having American accents, because number one, just make a decision. First of all, I respect a decision that everybody's going to talk like this. But also, if we want this story to live on, we have to make it in a way where modern audiences can understand it. And if the themes are clear and the emotion is clear, then the story is clear. And you're arguing over, you, as in the bros on the internet, are arguing over a story that you wouldn't be able to read in ancient Greek because you didn't study it. So sit down, please. And Greek and English never coexisted at once. So it would never be in Greek. Just anyway. But I just think that that concept of translation and Nolan making this film in a certain way is important to point out.
We're arguing over semantics at this point, and we're finding things to be upset about. Watch the film or don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, watch a film or don't. If you're that up in arms about it, sit this one out.
Mm-hmm.
Sit this one out.
Because
take a fucking nap. I don't know.
What it boils down to is you're using this. Ooh, don't get mad at me. But you're using the guise of, oh, I'm protecting the original text and how the Greek men wanted it to be told. No, you're racist and you're transphobic, and you're upset about the casting choices of the film. And that's what you're really upset about. So don't bring Homer into this.
Don't bring Homer into this. It's like people who use the Bible to be homophobic and racist and really shitty people.
It's not just the text, that's you. That's
just
you.
say what you are. Anyways.
Do you have anything else in this film that you want to touch on before we rewind?
I truly think you've covered everything, because I was also going to touch on the controversies.
Okay, shall we rewind into Memento?
Yeah. I forgot we were going there. I forgot all about
and
her.
I forgot we were going there too, because like I was with Odysseus. Like I was just on the ship.
I was on the ship. I was one of the crew, man. Like I was there.
Mm-hmm.
I was there.
And I think, I mean, this might be a shorter rewind just because we really went in on the Odyssey. But as I said in the intro, I think we accidentally did a really great pairing of watching these two films back to back. So, Memento, quick synopsis, is a film about a guy named Lenny. I'm so sorry. His name cracked me up throughout the whole film, and it is not a funny film. It's very serious.
It's not funny, is it? It's very serious.
It's very serious, but just to like name a main character Leonard is just like goofy. Sorry about it. But this guy named Leonard, he has a condition, a memory condition, where he cannot form new memories. So he doesn't have amnesia because he can remember everything up until the accident that damaged his brain, but he cannot form any new memories. And you can imagine this quite hard to live your life this way. And so he tries to leave himself messages, or mementos, as you would say, title of the film, through photographs, through tattoos on his body, through notes, to try and remind himself of things, of who people are, what's going on, because he will literally just forget everything. And the film centers on him trying to find his wife's killer. The biggest tattoo on his body is that John G. raped and murdered my wife, and I want to kill him. I need to kill him. And so he's on this quest. And the film, as you can imagine, is told very non-linearly, because we are only getting information as Lenny is remembering it. And this was a rewatch for me. I watched it when I was a little bebe cinephile when I was 18. And the way I remembered the film, which is funny because it's a film about memory, is that I thought it was just like truly told backwards. but it's not.
Mm.
You like see a scene and then you almost like see it again but with a little bit more information, and then like the end of that scene might pick up on something else with a little more information, and just the intricate web is way more convoluted than just telling a film backwards. And along the way, people that you thought you knew flip a Rooney on you, things that you thought you knew because of Lenny's tattoos and his notes, like the meaning of all of that is flipped and changed. And it's a wild ride.
It is, in fact, a wild ride from beginning to end. Truly.
Honestly, truly. And this is one of those films. I mean, we always say that this is a film analysis podcast, so you are going to do spoilers. But if you have not seen Memento and you want to, pause here, because through my analysis, I'm about to spoil the whole film for you in about 10 seconds. Film. So I'm giving you a moment.
Yeah, go to our fast forward, watch from
and
there.
Then return.
And then return once you've watched the film. Yeah.
Okay, because, and this is my question to you, Danny, and I'm going to spoil the film in this question, is that this is a film about memory, and he keeps saying that he remembers everything up until his accident. I remember everything up until my accident. I just can't make new memories. And you learn at the very end of the film that he has conditioned himself, either intentionally or unintentionally, to misremember the past, to misremember his wife's murder. He forgets that he killed the man that he set out to kill, basically. Mm-hmm. And he then makes a decision to intentionally trick himself, and he writes something on the back of a Polaroid. It's Teddy, a key character in the film, who's a police officer who initially is trying to help him catch the killer, because he doesn't like what Teddy says about, like, you're deluding yourself, you already killed this guy, da-da-da-da. He writes in the back of the Polaroid, this is Teddy, don't trust his lies. And so then for the rest of the film, we think Teddy is a villain because Lenny intentionally decided to trick himself and warp his own memories. Mm-hmm. And so my question is to you, like, what did this film do to your concept of memory? Like, how did it fuck with your head? Like, tell me your reaction.
I think that ending scene, I kind of got hints of what we were barreling towards when we were learning more about Sammy Jenkins.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Talk about Sammy for the people.
For the peeps, our main character, Lenny, had a tattoo on his hand that said, "Remember Sammy Jenkins." And Sammy was a guy who had the same illness or mental condition as Lenny, when Lenny used to work as an insurance claims investigator.
Yeah,
whatever that is called. And throughout the story, he says that the insurance company filed that Sammy was faking his injury, but he didn't believe that Sammy was faking his injury. But Sammy's wife, thought he might be faking his injury. And so we're learning more and more about Sammy, and the tale kind of warps and changes a little bit every time Lenny tells us more about Sammy, until it is revealed that he is Sammy. And the original Sammy did fake his injury, but everything that he said that Sammy did, Lenny actually did. And in that, I kind of thought, I was like, he is conditioning himself for something. Like, these notes or whatever, I always kind of got the inkling that that was leading towards more, and that Sammy was going to be a bigger deal than just another person who had this illness as him. But I do think it's really interesting, because I know that PTSD is known to warp memories. Like, people who have suffered,
like, out of survival,
like, it's been shown to warp memories, or to like have moments of like blackout, like where you genuinely have a blank space in your memory because of that traumatic event. And it was just so interesting to see it kind of personified in this way. And to learn that he had enough like cognitive presence to know to trick himself in the future, to kind of like at that point kind of avenge himself, because this entire journey is him trying to avenge his wife, um, of the person who killed her. And then he realizes that this man, that Teddy, was in fact kind of taking advantage of him, and he decides, I'm going to avenge myself, and he is going to, if he says that I've killed so many John G's, then he's just going to become my next John G. And like, I think it
Mm-hmm.
was a choice to break himself out of this cycle. But we don't know what he wrote on the Polaroid when he took a picture of his deceased body. So where do we go from here? And I'm kind of glad that we don't get that.
Yeah, because this film is it's just such a lovely mixture of, it's almost like there's two characters, there's two Lennys. Like the way that the story is told is that
Mm.
we think there's one. We think there's just one Lenny on a journey. And then when we get to the end of the film, we see how he's manipulating himself. And so watching the film back again, you're like, there's almost these two Lennys, of the Lenny that's following the clues of the previous Lenny who has left them. And it's just this great metaphor for, like you said, how we delude ourselves either for survival or because we want to manipulate ourselves to never reckon with certain things. Because with the whole Sammy Jenkins of it all, Sammy, quote unquote, in Lenny's tale, ends up killing his wife unintentionally because she wants to test him. She believes that he's faking, and she's diabetic. And so she tells him every few minutes, oh, it's time for my shot, it's time for my insulin, thinking that surely he will remember this. This is life and death. He loves me. And he, of course, doesn't remember. And so he gives her too much insulin and she dies. And then you learn that that was Lenny. And it's almost like the murderer you're looking for is you. And that's certainly a memory that you would want to delude yourself into forgetting.
And I do want to ask you about the wife, because
Yeah.
obviously it is true that she did go through this horrific event where she
Yeah,
is
she was
raped and
assaulted. Yeah.
almost murdered. But in that moment where you're watching your husband administer back to back insulin shots, do you think she gets to a point where she's like, I know he's not lying, but is it a part of her that just wants out? Like, why do you think she continued
Mm,
to allow him to administer the shots?
that's an excellent question. And I think my answer lies in the wonderful actress who played the fictional Sammy's wife in Lenny's telling of it, because there's a scene where, quote unquote, Sammy's wife comes to see Lenny as the insurance investigator, and she goes, forget what you're investigating for your company, like just tell me, like, do you think he's faking? And she talks about her turmoil of looking at him and seeing the same Sammy, like not being
Mm,
able to understand that he's different, because every time she looks at him, there's the possibility that he does remember. Like every time she looks at him
mm-hmm,
and looks in his eyes. And Lenny talks about this phenomenon of seeing Sammy and thinking that Sammy has this look of recognition in his eye. But then later when he has the condition, he goes, well, you fake that recognition. If you think you're supposed to recognize somebody, you pretend that you do, because it's a part of the conditioning of not being able to remember. And just her saying, like, every time I look at him, there's this possibility that he's still in there and he's the same Sammy. I think, as you said, it's this blend of, she knows that he's killing her. She knows that he's administering this insulin. But every time she says, it's time for my shot, she hopes that he's not going to. But once you get to like the third shot, I do think that she's resigned herself to, it is torture to be in a relationship with somebody like this. Like, it's work for her to be in this relationship and constantly have to deal with his memories. So maybe there's a little bit of that, like she kind of wants out. But I was just really struck by, in the same way that like everything is the possibility to be new to Sammy because he can't remember, like every time he doesn't remember, she hopes that he will. I don't know if that makes sense.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it was like, it is hard to be in a relationship like that. And I bet there's part of her that's like, I wish I could forget, like I wish
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't have to remember. I wish that I didn't have to be experiencing this. And again, yeah, I think that she just resigns herself to that fate.
Yeah. And there was, in this talk about like memory and his wife, there was a part of the film that really struck me where it's towards the beginning, so you still think that he's mourning this murdered wife. And he says, how can I heal when I can't feel the passage of time? Because like
Mm,
there are moments where he wakes up and it's like she just died, because that's the last thing he remembers. And on one hand, the moment you hear that in the film, you feel such empathy for him because you're like, oh my gosh, he can never move on from his wife's death because he doesn't even know how long ago it was. Like, grief doesn't work the same way when you can't make new memories.
yeah. And in the same vein of when he's like burning her items, he says something along the
Mm,
lines of like, I can't remember to forget you. Like he can't
yeah, exactly.
actively take her from his memories. I think it's very interesting.
It is, yeah, it's great. And just to call it back to the Odyssey with structure, I mean, we alluded at the beginning that we are only given enough information to understand the scene that we are currently watching.
Hmm.
And I think that that is a technique to a different degree that he does take into the Odyssey. As you said, using an unreliable narrator to a filmmaker's
Hmm.
advantage, you do
Yeah.
need to have that command of structure.
Agreed. Yeah. I did enjoy the fact of like we only had the information that was needed for this scene, and we were collecting memories as the characters were, and we were collecting information as the characters were. And I think that built both films.
Mm-hmm. And I think Memento kind of also sets the tone for like the Nolan twist. Like a lot of his films
Hmm.
reside on a big like third act twist, and the Odyssey doesn't really have that because it is based on existing IP. But I do think he did try to employ some bait and switches in certain areas of the film, and
Hmm.
that is an early technique of his that you absolutely see in this epic pinnacle of his career.
Yeah, I think that like the closest thing to like a big ending twist was the revelation of Athena and how she presented herself.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I think that that was his biggest twist of the film, so to speak.
Mhm. Love it. But we do have quite a special fast forward this episode, so shall we get into it?
Yes, we do.
So, y'all, as it is summer, it is a little over halfway through 2026, which is crazy to say. I think we did this last season to a degree, but having a summer check in of halfway through the year, our favorite films of 2026 so far, and just having a little check in with y'all. So, Danny, do you want to go first with the chatting about some of your favorite films?
Yeah, actually. Okay, so maybe I'll start backwards in like at my top three. But
Hmm.
I talked about this in Pause Pod After Dark. If you guys listened to that, if not, Live Laugh Love.
It's on our YouTube channel if you want to check it out.
If you want to check it out. And I will be talking about this film further in my next episode of After Dark. But I have a new favorite horror of the year. And to be fair, both of the horrors that are in my tops were not the horrors I thought were going to be my favorites of the year, um,
Hmm.
which is very interesting.
Um,
I know. And my third favorite film of the year so far has been Leviticus,
I
the gay
cannot wait for your
horror,
analysis of this.
the gay horror film. I won't go too deep into it because I will be talking about it more in After Dark, but I think that what the director did, Adrian Chiarella, in turning a discussion about something so dark, which is conversion therapy, and
Mm-hmm.
using it in a horror film was so smart and so incredible. And you know me, I love horrors that have like social commentary, but also really dive into dark and ugly human emotions. And I think that this film did a really, really incredible job at that. But I also didn't think that Obsession was going to get dethroned this quickly,
Knocked off so quickly.
if knocked off so quickly. But I think that this, I'm not pitting two bad bitches against each other. Let that be stated.
We can all rise.
We can all rise. We can all rise. But I just thought that there was something so incredibly earnest and moving about this film in particular. It also scared the shit out of me. In a
The
way
monster
that
is homophobia.
the monster is homophobia. But in a way that like that was much different than Obsession. It was a quieter haunting, um, in a way. Anyways, that's my first one, Kara.
My first one is one that literally snuck up on me this week, and we will be posting a darling debrief on this
Yes, we
film.
will first.
Which are our mini reviews on Instagram that we're going to start doing for the films that we don't talk about on the pod, because not everything can have our beautiful, extensive, long form analysis.
It's just like we are only two gals. We're only two
girls. We're only two gals, two girls who have full-time jobs. Unfortunately. Anyway, so and that is The Invite. And I was looking forward to this film. It had a lot of festival hype, and I was really intrigued. It has some film royalty in it. Penelope Cruz, Ed Norton, like amazing. I had the best time. This film is so funny. It's so awkward in the best ways. It engineers discomfort in such a smart way. And it all takes place in one room. It's a locked room drama, locked room thriller, if you will. And good job, Olivia. Applauding Olivia Wilde for not only directing it, but being in it, because I think she understood these. You only have 4 characters in one setting, and they all have to function very specifically. Like, one can't steal the show. Like, this is a very intricate balance. And the way she engineered the neuroses of her character, she wasn't afraid to look like a quote unquote crazy woman or like a neurotic woman, and it served the comedy and ultimately the emotion of the piece. But I recommend it. It's a grand old time.
I was hesitant about watching it, but maybe I'll give it a shot.
If nothing else, Penelope Cruz is one of the most beautiful and smartest people on this planet, and you just want to watch her, you know? So
yeah, and I was checking out Golden Derby the other day just to see, what the people are saying.
Do you want to explain what that is? Because if I didn't know you, I wouldn't know what that is.
Oh, you're so right. Sometimes I forget. So Golden Derby is this webity site where you basically see what critics and the audience and etc., like people in the industry, are predicting to be Oscar noms / Oscar winners. And it is the case for like any award. Like you could find Grammys, Emmys, like it's any, but I was checking specifically for the Oscar, and I'm pretty positive that I saw Miss Penelope on the list for Best Supporting. Like people have been been putting her up there for Best Supporting Actress Oscar nom. So maybe
I think she deserves it.
Yeah.
I think she deserves it. She was spitting some bars, spitting some lines, I'll tell you that. Check it out.
Anyways, my next pick is one that I watched recently, and is it one of my favorites of the year? No. However, is it one that I did enjoy a lot? Yes. And that is Forbidden Fruit. And the reviews have been mixed. The reviews had been mixed up until this point. I think people are allergic to fun. I think
camp, if you will. Camp is an art.
camp is an art. I think people are allergic to fun because this was a fun film. It was fun. It was funny. And then it low key turns into like final girl at the end. I was in it to win it. I was in it to win it. The entire cast was so funny. They were so good. It was a good time. It was campy as hell. It was witchy. I should put it as one of my summer weed picks because
You should.
honestly, it was vibes. I do think that people are just allergic to fun. Not everything has to be so serious. Not everything needs to be Oscar worthy. Sometimes we can have just a silly, goofy film.
Right. No,
Anyways,
I can't wait to see it. Actually, I should check if it's on UK streaming now because I
yeah, see
wanted
if
to
it's
see
on
that girl in
streaming.
theaters, but the distribution model kept me from doing that.
I think we watched it on Prime
Okay, maybe I can VPN myself into that film.
into the UK into the US. Let
Yeah.
me know.
I'll let you know because it was on my 10 most anticipated films
It
of the
was.
year. So
Yeah.
I need to meet my maker. I need to.
You have to know where it will fall on your list.
Yeah, I do. Anyway, I love that for you. My next film, The Sheep Detective.
I'm screaming. Kara, please.
Guys, like, you don't even understand.
No, guys, like, that's my friend. Like, guys, that's my friend.
That's my friend. Like, the Winter Lamb, like, that is my friend. And yeah, all of that aside, this film did things to me emotionally that it wasn't supposed to do. Like, I mean, maybe it was, but like on the surface, this is this cozy family mystery film about these sheep who solve the murder of their shepherd. But it taught me things about friendship and loyalty that no other film can. It's so good. It's so good. But actually on like actually on a film review level, it was written by Craig Mazin, who is behind HBO hits such as The Last of Us and Chernobyl. And I think he actually wrote Sheep Detectives before his rise to HBO fame. It's been knocking around like LA for a while, but the way that he talks about like the structure of that film and how he wrote it and using like Agatha Christie novels and like setting you up to fall in love with sheep that he knows that he is going to break your heart with. It's just so well done and so well written. And you'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll walk out on a cloud. It's great. Perfect cozy Sunday film. Please stream it now.
I'm screaming.
It's so good.
My next one is a one that I predicted was going to be my number 10 spot, like my number 10 favorite. And it is currently at my number 10 spot in my list.
Okay.
On Letterboxd. I think it's so funny because I do have a live ranking. Like as I see films,
this is Danny's Golden Derby.
Live. Like this is my Golden Derby. But that is Undertone, which your boy really loved. Really, really loved.
I know. I can never watch it. I think it would give me hives.
I think it might. I think it would. I've been thinking a lot about that film because originally I wasn't all too impressed with it. I think I went in expecting a lot more than I got, but then I was like, I've been thinking about it some more and I've been wanting to rewatch it because I think it really like it is an auditory film and it did it so wonderfully and like it was so simple. And in the same vein that I was talking about Leviticus, it was a very steady and like understated haunting, but you were constantly on edge. On edge. And I do think that it was really well done. And it was a very original and unique like premise. And I think I might want to revisit it because I think that my initial reaction wasn't fair to the film.
That's interesting. I love a good rewatch. Also, as somebody who is really sensitive auditorily, I believe that is a scary film. You manipulate my sound. I'll
And I
be
might,
in the fetal
right.
position.
Because the way that James watched it, he watched it with headphones in. And I feel like that is the way
Yes.
that it should
Yes.
be viewed, almost like I'm listening to a podcast, which is what the film is. Like the
Mm.
film is about a horror podcast, and the haunting takes place because of the podcast.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. So I don't know. I might revisit. I might revisit.
Hook those Bluetooth headphones up to the TV, honey.
Yeah. So that's my pick.
Love it. My next one is a shared pick. We both absolutely adored this film. And technically it's 2025, but it didn't have a theatrical release until 2026, so I'm counting it. And it's funny because I feel like we've shouted this film out in small ways in the pod, but we haven't like officially declared
Talked
how
about
much we
it.
love it. And that's My Father's Shadow. If you were a fan of After Sun, I think you would 100% love this film. This film is incredible. And it's a directorial debut as well, Akinola Davies. So you're just like, oh my gosh, if this is your first film, I cannot wait to see what else that you do. But I think now that it's been a few months since I've watched it, like the thing that has stayed with me, the way that the filmmaker captured the father character with such adoration but also mystery. It's some movie magic that he did to really uphold that child's point of view of how you can love and revere somebody and not understand them. It's incredible, and everybody should watch it.
Yeah, absolutely stunning film. And like Odysseus, once he made it home, he was able to float off into the sunset with his wife and take a moment of pause, which is what we will be doing now.
Right. Oh, Danny, what gave you pause this week?
Let me tell you something. So, every Wednesday, most Wednesdays, we've been busy, but most Wednesdays, me and my best friend slash roommate, Jade, take our happy little asses to the bar next door and we play music bingo.
Oh, you've talked about this before on the podcast. Resurface.
I have. Resurface. This week we're playing, eating, drinking, merry. People are enjoying themselves. We're making friends with the people at the tables next to us. All of a sudden, a herd of shirtless men flood into the space.
Get out.
Never in my life have I seen that. I said, where are they coming from? Where'd you come from? Where'd you go? Where'd you come from? Cotton Eye Joe. It was a run club. I said, oh. The woman was too stunned to speak. I really was like, am I in heaven? Like, what is happening? It was genuinely the culmination of the best week of bingo I've ever played, and then a treat for the eyes. I was like,
you got rewarded.
Oh my God, I got rewarded. And I genuinely could not think straight with the amount of biceps and abs that I was seeing. Like, it genuinely made my brain turn into mush. I said, I can no longer form coherent thoughts. I am just a girl. Anyways, so that's me. Kara, what can you pause, baby girl?
Goodness. So, a bit of context. I finally read the newest Hunger Games book, Sunrise on the Reaping.
I'm screaming.
It took me about 6 months, y'all, because I am nothing if not a fickle reader. But I found myself in a reading slump, and I said, you know what's going to get me out of this? YA, or as my father likes to call it, ya. Anyway, read this book, had a grand old time, and my FBI agent must now be responding to visual stimuli instead of audio because I didn't talk about reading this book. I just read this book, and suddenly my algorithm is giving me all Sunrise on the Reaping fan edits. Danny.
Oh, God.
fan editors have evolved. They've gotten stronger. They found ways to attack me emotionally that I didn't think possible. Because here's the thing, this movie, the movie adaptation, isn't even out yet. They're working on 3 clips, a trailer, and a dream. But get this, they hacked the system. They lifted audio from the audiobook reading so they can pull quote anything they want to overlay it any clip they want. And I was decimated. I was decimated. Screaming, crying, throwing up. Please let me rest. I need a break because y'all are too talented and you're bringing me to tears.
Is this your first like entanglement with editors? Like first fandom, like deep root fandom?
Yeah,
editors?
Because obviously I dabbled in heated rivalry edits, but that wasn't like I mean, okay, I know there are books, but like because they had a whole series, like I didn't come across like they had plentiful resources with the whole series out.
Plentiful.
So I didn't like really come across like the deep like scraping of the barrel fandom energy. I haven't been to this sub level before.
That's crazy because I live in that
in the sewers.
I live in the sewers with the rats.
With the rats. No, I enjoyed it. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Beautiful. No, the absolute mental illness mixed with crack cocaine that those people have. And I'm so glad that you're experiencing this because 90% of my TikTok is just fan edits from the various fandoms that I'm a part of. And
are you not just emotionally torn this way and that every second?
I'm emotionally tormented for at least 20 of the 24 hours.
This is how people act when they're really depressed. Well, maybe I'm really depressed.
Really depressed. I'm so sad that you're not in America, and it's not something I ever say. So take this with heart. But the AMC theaters
I know,
are going to be
them.
showing all of the films in theaters. And you better believe I will be there with a blankie and some snacks. And it is that serious. I don't care. It's from dusk until dawn. I don't care. I will be there. I will be there.
And you know what? I want you to do pause at the Capitol. I want you to do like a segment on the pod of your experience.
I'll do a vlog. I'll do a vlog.
Do a vlog for TikTok, please. I'd be like hour 1, hour 2,
hour 2, hour 3, or it's like after first movie, after second.
Yes, movie. And it's just you crying more and more and more. I love it.
I'm so excited.
Thank you for listening. This was a long journey. This was an odyssey.
I'm so sorry.
But when we love something, we dive deep. And we are, I think we're really getting into our socials bag. We're trying out different forms of content, different things to provide to you on the socials in between episodes. So if you want to follow along with that, Danny, where can they find us?
You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at PausePodGirls. And we are currently, as Kara said, trying to be in our social media bag, but also planning for season 3. So if there is anything at all that you guys want to see from us in the future as we are plotting out our future season, drop us a comment, drop us a DM, drop us an email. Let us know. Yeah. And we can we do have an email.
We do.
Let us know, and we will try to incorporate like any and all ideas into our upcoming content schedule. And with that, we will see you guys in our next episode. Bye.
Bye.